Welcome to Short Scale Modelling. This is part 3 of Airfix Academy's PBY 5A comparison build. Scale is 1 to 72. In the previous video, I started making up the cockpits for both aircraft and finished up with the canopies. And in this part, I'm going to be carrying on, adding more to the Academy cockpit and ours, as well as getting around to putting the fuselage together. So let's jump into this and see how well I get on. Beginning with the Academy one, and I'm still on page 1 of the instruction sheet, and I'm just putting in the windows in using micro clear, crystal clear for the cement, and this is the same as always. I'm just putting a bit of the white glue around the opening and pressing in the clear plastic part. I'm now adding the gun to the gun mount. This is slightly different from the Airfix one. The Airfix one had a bracket and socket system. This is just threaded through a blast shield before going into position. And just as a recap, the gun is painted in Tamiya's X10 gun metal. The first part to go in is the bottom plate for the gun mount, and this is like a shoe horse sort of shape. The contact points are okay. They're a bit difficult to get joined in, placed in straight. It does want to sag down a bit, so you're going to have to make sure this is dry before you move on to the next part. That being the case, I'm moving on to the seats, and I'm using Tamiya's XF1 flat black, and this is just detailing the seat, so the framework and the cushions of the seat are going to get the same colour. Normally I would paint these in more detail, but because it's a comparison build, I want it to reflect exactly what the instructions say as best as I can get them to the other one to give a true comparison. Hence why I'm not putting in as much detail as I normally would. It may seem a bit of waste, but to get a true comparison how each model handles and behaves, I think this is the only way to do it. Now I've decided to actually put the guns in on this one straight away per instructions. As you know on the, or as you watched on the Airfix one in the previous part, I decided to leave the guns off because of the possibility of damaging them. These ones are going at a slight angle, more flush to the fuselage, so I feel confident I won't damage them. And these ones are a little bit more trickier to place in anyway, so it would be quite difficult to get these placed in once the fuselage is buttoned up, hence why I'm putting them in now. To go in is the landing gear bay. It's the whole unit, and that fitted really nicely. It just slotted in, bumped up against the markers for it to fit in. Now, there was no problem whatsoever. Now, I should point out as well that these kits, both of them have the option of having the wheels retracted if you wish. I decided to have both displayed out, even though one of them I will be putting the floats down. It's just well, I like the mechanism, tell you the truth. I like the wheels coming out. So now they're in, it's back to the cockpit, and I'm placing in the chairs or the seats in the main area. There's two tiny little location points. They're not the best location points for these, because it's only a seat. There's enough surface area to attach them to anyway. And then the rear bulkhead goes on. That went in okay as well. So sometimes you have to just trim off the pins for these to fit in, but this one just pushed in quite easily. Next thing to be made up is the walkway that sits in between the gunner's position at the tail end of the aircraft, and this is just two bulkheads with a single gangway in between. A little bit tricky to piece together. It's just because it's a thin area, the contact area, so again, getting it straight while trying to get it set can be it could be a little bit difficult. It shouldn't be, but it tends to bow and shift out of position if you put any pressure on it. So I'll just leave that aside to dry, and now I'm just attaching the gun into the forward turret with a little bit of canopy glue. Unlike the Airfix one, this one really doesn't need any glue as well, but I put it in just for peace of mind. And now switching over to the Airfix, and I'm placing in the forward gun turret that I took off. Then I'm just putting my marker in so that I know exactly which kit I'm filming. I done this, one, just so that the viewer knows which kit I'm working on, and two, so that when I'm editing the video, I know exactly what I'm using. I know I've got the other logo on the bottom of the screen there, but again, it's just for my sanity really, so I know which one is which. I'm using Humbrol 226 interior green for the front wheel mount, and now the pilot and cockpit seats are going in. This area was starting to get a bit tight. There's not a lot inside the cockpit on the Airfix one, I should ask. It is quite basic compared to the Academy one. I can now place in the mount for the front wheel. Now the instructions say this goes in without any cement. I would recommend cementing it because otherwise it will not hold the aircraft up. It will just pop back inside. So if you want it with the wheels down, cement it in position. Now I'm adding extra weight to the cockpit, and I'm just using a couple of 5p pieces here as my weight, secured with a little bit of super glue. Now generally the two of these is enough to keep the nose down on most aircraft. I'll tell you now, this wasn't enough, and there's not enough room inside to get the desired amount of weight you'll need to keep the cone down. So it's always going to tail set, I think. And a little bit of tidying up to be done before I join everything together. So I'm just scraping away any excess paint from the seams, and I use that just with my hobby knife, gently going over any contact points. I'm now using Rebel Color 05 flat white to paint the wheel hubs. For the tyres, I'm using Life Color UA733 black and rubber shades tyre black. And it's time now to close up the fuselage. I'm only cementing this in a certain way. I'm going from one end to the other. So I'm cementing just a little part, making sure that holds, going down and cementing the next part. I do this for better control while bonding the two fuselages together. These things have a tendency to slip or rise up out of alignment if you do it all in one go, especially if you're putting it onto clamps. The little pins sometimes don't hold it. So personally, I think this is the best way to do it. Other people probably do it an entirely different way, but this is how I do it. And I'll just clamp it as I go along to make sure everything is in place. At some point during buttoning this up, you may have to resort to just holding it with your hand instead of a clamp. That's just the nature of the shape of it, but you shouldn't hold it for that long period that it becomes an issue. But the lining up was just about there. It wasn't perfect on the Airfix kit, but it was manageable. So while that's drying, all I've got left to do for this is to make up the wheels, and that's just the two parts placed together. And this is where I'll bring part 3 to an end. This is actually page 1 on both kits completed now, so the next part will be starting on page 2. If you haven't done so already, why don't you check out the channel for my other builds? Hit the like button, don't be afraid to leave a comment, and of course you can share the video. If you do subscribe to the channel, make sure you hit the notification bell as well. But for now, thank you all very much for watching. Bye bye.